Hello everyone, welcome to Apti. This is part 2 of our SQL interview question series. Before watching this video, make sure you have watched the part 1. The link will be provided in description. In today's session, we will be covering some most important SQL topics that can be asked in interviews. Let's start with our first question. The question is what null means. You can answer it like null means empty cell or no data. Null does not represent zero or space in cell. We cannot equate null, which means if we perform any arithmetic operation with null, the result is null. And null does not occupy any memory. Let's see what the next question is. The question states, what is query in SQL? The question might look very basic, but it is asked in most of the interviews. So you can answer it like query is a SQL request given by the server to the database. This request instructs RDBMS to perform the necessary CRUD operations in database. A query consists of predefined SQL keywords called statements. These statements provide proper meaning to the query or the instruction. In order to write a query, one must always follow predefined rules called syntax. You can also give the example mentioned below. The next question is explain alias in SQL. Alias is an alternate naming concept in SQL. Here we assign alternate names to columns or tables. There are certain rules of aliasing, which are aliasing for column should be done in the select clause, aliasing for table should be done in from clause, and alias name is always written as a single string, or you have to use an underscore to separate the words. You can write the example given below. The next question is explain about distinct keyword. You may answer it like distinct is used to remove duplicate or repeated values from the requested column in the result. Distinct command is only used in select clause. Distinct command must be specified before column or expression. The question might be extended on how distinct clause works with multiple columns. You can initially start by explaining what is distinct clause as we just discussed in the previous question. Then you can see when distinct clause is used with multiple columns, it will remove the records in which the combination of column is repeated. Now, if it is possible in interviews, just ask the permission from the interviewer for a pen and paper and write down the following example so that you can explain it in a better way. By the way, if you are finding this video helpful, make sure you like and comment. Now the next question is explain types of SQL statements. Now they may ask you to explain all the SQL statement, or it might be an individual question. The first SQL statement is DDL, which stands for Data Definition Language. It is used to define and modify the database structure or the schema. We have the statements of create, alter, drop, and truncate in DDL. The second is DML, which stands for Data Manipulation Language. It is used to manipulate the data stored in the tables. The statements are select, insert, delete, update. Next we have the DCL, which is Data Control Language. It deals with permissions and the access controls. Grant and revoke are the statements under it. Next is TCL, which stands for Transaction Control Language. It manages transaction to ensure data integrity. Commit, rollback, and save point are the TCL commands. And the last we have is DQL, which is used to query the database for information. Select is the DQL statement. The next and important question we have is what is the difference between DDL and DML commands. The first difference that you can say is DDL defines or modifies the structure of the database objects like tables and columns, while DML is used to insert, update, delete, or retrieve data from the tables. DDL includes commands like create, alter, drop, truncate, while DML includes commands like select, insert, update, and delete. DDL changes the database schema or the structure, while DML changes the actual data stored inside the table. DDL commands are auto-committed and saved immediately, while DML commands are not auto-committed and required commit to save changes. Next point is changes made in DDL cannot be rolled back, and in DML changes made can be rolled back using the rollback command. You can also mention the examples given. The next difference which we have is the difference between drop and truncate. Drop command permanently removes the entire table along with the data from the database, while truncate command deletes all the data from the database, but it keeps the table structure. Drop removes all the indexes and constraints, while truncate retains all indexes and constraints. Drop is slower than truncate as it involves removing dependencies, while truncate is faster than drop. Drop is used when table is no longer needed, while truncate is used when table is to be emptied but retained for further use. You can also mention the examples. The next question that we have is the difference between delete and truncate. Delete command removes specific rows based on condition or rows when no condition is given. Truncate always removes all rows from the table. Delete is a DML command while truncate is a DDL command. Changes made by delete can be rolled back using the rollback command, while changes made by truncate cannot be rolled back. Delete is not auto-committed. You need to use commit to save the changes, while truncate is auto-committed. Changes are saved automatically. Delete is slower, especially when deleting large number of records, while truncate is faster because it deallocates the data pages directly. You can also mention the below examples. The last question for today is the difference between drop and delete. Drop completely removes the table from the database, while delete removes specific rows based on the condition or rows if no condition is given. Drop is a DDL command, while delete is a DML command. Changes made by drop cannot be rolled back once executed. Changes made by delete can be rolled back using the rollback command. Drop is auto-committed and changes are permanent immediately. Delete is not auto-committed and it requires an explicit commit. The table structure and the data are both removed and the table no longer exists. While in delete, the table structure remains after delete and you can reuse the table. And at the end, you can also mention the example. That's it for part 2 of our SQL interview question series. We have covered some most important interview questions. And next part, which is part 3, we will take it a step further to discuss some more frequently asked interview questions. So stay tuned, subscribe and hit the bell icon to get notification when part 3 drops. Thank you for watching.